Friends, the present poem is A Tiger in the Zoo. Where should a tiger be? In the forest or in the zoo? Naturally, in the forest, because it is a natural habitat, it is a natural abode for the wild animals. But here, in the present poem, the tiger is in the zoo. And the poet is Leslie Norris. You know that Leslie Norris was a prize winning 20th century Welsh poet and short story writer. Why he is called Welsh poet? Because he was born in South Wales in United Kingdom. Leslie Norris was born on 21st May 1929 in South Wales. That is called as the 20th century Welsh poet, and died on 6th April 2006. Leslie Norris taught in academic institutions in Britain and USA, United States. When he was only 19 years old, he joined the Royal Air Force. But he was keen interested in writing poems. Later on, he became a teacher and rose to the post of a headmaster and finally to the post of the principal. At the urging of his wife, he started his career as a professional poet and short story writer. This is the story and life about the great poet, 20th century poet Leslie Norris. Here, in this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, the poet shows a contrast between a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in the forest. The poet brings the difference between the two environments of the zoo and the environments of the forest. In the zoo, the tiger has no liberty. He is quite helpless. He is locked behind the bars of the cage. So the poet shows how a tiger behaves and reacts in the zoo. But at the same time, the poet says when he was in the forest, he was at his own will and desire. He was free to run here and there. So the poet forces us to think if the zoo is the right place for keeping the wild animals. Here we find that the tiger in the zoo is quite helpless. He should be in the forest. Let's see the first stanza, and we find that sometimes the tiger moves from the environment of the cage to the forest. Here the poet moves to the forest. But once again, the poet comes to the zoo, and finally the poet says that he was at present time in the zoo. So the poem moves from the zoo to the forest and once again back to the zoo. Let's see the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes. Stalks mean walks with pride. We well know that a tiger is a majestic and royal animal. He is called the minister of the forest. The lion is the king of the forest. So, if the tiger is a royal animal, his way of walking must be royal. So, here we find that he stalks. He stands for the tiger. Means tiger is treated as a person. That's why the poetic device in the first stanza in this word is personification. He stalks, he walks with pride because he is a royal animal, and his way of walking is also what? Royal. He walks with pride in his vivid stripes. Vivid means bright. He walks with pride in his bright stripes, bright bands. Bands means bands. Stripes means bands. Bands of black color. He walks with pride in his bright bands of black color in the yellow skin. You must have seen the tiger in the zoo or in the picture. What is the color of the skin? Yellow. On the yellow background, we find the vivid, bright, black stripes, black bands of black color. Okay. Very majestic, very splendid animal to look at. The few steps of his cage. Since he is locked in the cage, he is confined in the limited area of the cage. That's why the tiger is able to take only few steps. Majestic animal, royal animal, and if he takes 4 or 5 steps, then the length of the cage is finished. So he is able to take only 4 or 5 steps. How he walks? On pads, on cushiony paws of the animal. That is cushiony, very soft. How soft? As soft as that of velvet. You must have seen the velvet cloth. How is the velvet? Very soft. So the pads, the paws of the tiger are also as soft as velvet. That's why when he takes walks, he takes few steps in the cage, there is no any noise. The movement is very quiet. The movement is very silent. Movement is silent, but he is in anger. How is the anger? Quietly, in silent anger. he is angry, but he knows well there is no need, there is no use to show here anger, because he is locked behind the bars of the cage in the zoo. That's why no need to show his anger. So he is in quiet rage. He is in silent anger. Rage means anger. Once again, I explain the first stanza. The tiger walks with pride in his bright bands of black color on the yellow skin. The cage is limited, so he is able to take only few steps on pads, on paws. That is, the paws are as soft as the velvet, so the movement is quiet, and he was also in his quiet rage, in his silent anger. He is helpless because he can't do anything. He is only waiting for the chance. When he will come out, he will tear the zookeeper into pieces. Now, what poetic devices are used in the first stanza? First, rhyme scheme. What do you mean by rhyme scheme? The sameness of sound at the end of lines in a word of a rhyme. Rhyme is poem. The sameness of sound at the end of lines in a word of a rhyme of a poem is called rhyme scheme. First sound stripes. We will name here A. Case. This also gives different sound. So B. Quite different sound. No rhyming here. Stripes different sound. A. Case different sound. B. Quite different sound. C. But rage rhymes with cage. So same sound as in cage. So B. A, B, C, B. First poetic device. A, B, C, B. Second poetic device is personification. What is personification? The attribution of human qualities to the non-living things or living beings. Living beings are plants, living beings are animals, but those have no human virtues. But here, the tiger, who is an animal, is treated as a person, so the poetic device is personification. Clear? Personification. Okay. Now the third poetic device you find here, assonance. The repetition of vowel letter I with the consonant letter. The repetition of vowel letter I with the consonant letter. This is called what? Personification. In his vivid. I with consonant letter I. Stripes also I with P. Okay. Now the fourth poetic device we find here, repetition. any word which is repeated 2 times or more than 2 times. Quite. Repetition is that poetic device when any word is repeated 2 or more than 2 times to emphasize any point. What is the emphasis of the point? That the movement was very quiet and rage, anger was also very quiet. So this is the repetition. Now see here consonants. Consonants is we found here consonants. The repetition of consonant letter either at the beginning or at the end of words. Here we find at the beginning or at the end of words. Here at the end of words. Here. So this is what? Consonants. And next poetic device we find here oxymoron. Opposing of two ideas. Rage means what? Anger. And we know very well that anger is uncontrollable. And here quiet means controlled. So this controlled is opposed with uncontrollable things. How is the anger? Quiet. So opposing ideas. This is called oxymoron. Quiet rage. And the next poetic device we find here, enjambment. I have told you many times that when any line is continued to the next line without any punctuation mark, this first line he stops in his vivid stripes, continues to the next line. Now here we get what? Punctuation marks. So this is called enjambment. This will not be called enjambment. This will not be called enjambment because here punctuation mark full stop, here comma, but here we don't find any punctuation mark. So the first line continues to the next line. Here we find punctuation mark. So this type of use is called what? Enjambment. So in first stanza we find, and once again we find here imagery. Imagery means these lines present the image of the tiger. These lines present the image of a tiger. What is the image? The tiger is in quiet rage, silent anger. He is taking few steps, and his skin is yellow, and on the yellow skin there is vivid bright bands of black color. So this is called what? Imagery. Now in the second stanza, same rhyme scheme. A, here B, here C, grass, pass, B. The first stanza was about the tiger in the zoo, but from the zoo the poem moves to the forest. The poet is thinking, if the tiger had been free, If the tiger had been free, then he should be lurking in shadow. He should be hiding in shadow. Lurking means hiding. If he had been free, if he had not been in the zoo, if he had been in the forest, at that time he should be hiding in shadow of tall trees, quite free, not in the cage. If he had been free and he had been running here and there, he would be sliding, he would be sleeping. The tiger would be sleeping through long grass, through long wild grass. Grass are very long because wild grass, and through the long grass the tiger would be sliding, the tiger would be sleeping near the water hole, near the water area, near the water ditch, water body where the plump deer pass, and he would be waiting there. Where? Near the water hole, that the plump, very fat deer would come there to quench his thirst, to drink water. And when the plump deer, fat deer comes to drink water, at that time he will come through long grass. The tiger would come through long grass and he would catch the plump deer, because plump deer is the tiger's favorite food. Now, in the third stanza, once again we find the environment of the tiger. The poet is thinking, if he had been free, if the tiger had been free, if he had not been kept in the zoo, in the cage, then he should be snarling, he should be growling. He should be growling. Who should be growling? The tiger. Around houses, at the jungle's edge, the tiger should be growling at the edge of the jungle near the houses. At the jungle's edge, there are many houses in the village, and he should be snarling there. He should be growling there because he shows his wild nature. Tiger is a wild animal, and wild animal shows what? Animality, his wildness. So if he had been free, he would be growling around houses, those houses which are situated at the edge, at the border of the jungle. And what he had been doing? The tiger who had been bearing, the tiger had been exposing, the tiger had been showing his white fangs. Fangs means pointed teeth. The tiger had been bearing, showing his white pointed teeth, and sometimes he had been showing his claws. The tiger had been showing his claws, sometimes his white pointed teeth. Why? Terrorizing, fattening the village. So what is the main nature of the wild animal? To frighten the persons who are in the village. So if he had been free, he should be growling, he should be snarling around houses which are situated at the edge, at the border of the jungle, and he should be bearing, he should be showing his white pointed teeth, sometimes his claws, terrorizing, fattening the village, the whole village. And now the poem once again moves from the forest to the zoo. See here, once again the poem has moved to the zoo, but he is locked in a concrete cell. but his strength is locked behind the bars of the cage. He is locked. His strength is locked. Very unfortunately, he is not free. Very unfortunately, he is kept in the cage of the zoo, so he is locked in a concrete cell. The cage that is very concrete, that is made of concrete, cement, sand, and other materials. Very strong cell, so that he may not be able to come out of the cage. He is locked. Who is locked? The tiger. Here we find what? Personification. That since the tiger is locked in a strong cage, cell means cage, his strength is limited behind bars of iron. He is locked there behind the bars. Why he is kept behind the bars? Only for the exhibition to the visitors. Visitors would come in the zoo, and the visitors would buy the tickets to see the animals. So the tiger is on the exhibition. The tiger is on the show, stalking, and in that limited area of the cage is very limited. How much? I think 25 by 30 feet. So he is stalking. Stalking means walking. But his royalty is there because he is a royal animal. He is walking. He is walking. His natural instinct is not finished because he is a royal animal. He is walking the length. The tiger is walking with pride from one end to the other end of the cage. He is walking, ignoring visitors. All the visitors have come to see the tiger. The visitors are very much interested to see the tiger, but the tiger doesn't take any notice of them. He ignores all the visitors. Why does the tiger ignore visitor? Because if the tiger sees the visitors, he will get angry, and this is not the real time to get angry. If he gets angry, what he will do to the visitors? So the brave man is only he who shows his bravery or strength in the nick of time. But here he is helpless, where in the cell, in the cage of the zoo. Once again, the poem is in the where? In the zoo. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and he stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. The tiger is lying awake all through the night. He is helpless. He can't enjoy the sound sleep. He wants only and only freedom, and he is unable to enjoy the sound sleep. So all through the night, he is lying awake. He hears the last voice at night, the voice of patrolling cars. The zoo officers are on patrolling. The zoo officers are on the round. And he hears all the voice. And last voice also. Now it is 4 a.m. 4 o'clock in the morning time. It was the last voice. And but you know that every living being, either it is the plant or the animal or a human being, every human being, every living being has the hope. No hope, no life. Here the tiger has also hope and stares. Stares means looks. The tiger looks with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Once again we find the use of repetition. What is the repetition? Repetition to emphasize any idea. The poet stares. Stares means look with his shining eyes. With his shining. How are the eyes of tiger? Very shining. At the brilliant stars. at the dazzling stars. The tiger has the hope that the day will come when he will come out of the cage and he will be also under the open sky. The tiger is hopeful of his freedom. That's why with his shining eyes he stares, he looks at the brilliant stars. So here we also find the poetry device. First, we have discussed the poetry device of first stanza, and now I shall discuss the poetry device of the last stanza. First, see here enjambment. Enjambment. You have studied very well. This line continues to the next line. This not, because here we find punctuation without punctuation, and this line continues to the next line. So here we find what? Enjambment. Second, he what? Personification. Third, imagery. These lines present the image of the tiger, that the tiger is hopeful and he is restless also. He is unable to enjoy the sound sleep. So we find the image of a tiger. So the poetry device is what? Imagery. And here we also find alliteration. Alliteration. What alliteration? The repetition of same consonant sound at the beginning of words. He hears. He hears. This is the use of what? Alliteration. And we also find here assonance. Last, assonance. What is assonance? The repetition of vowel letter with other consonant letters. Vowel letter with another consonant letter. I. Okay. I here also. With I with other consonant letter T, either S, here L. This is called what? Assonance. Repetition of vowel letter with other consonant letters. This is called assonance. So, what conclusion do we get from this poem? What message the poet wants to give us? That the zoo is not the right place for keeping the wild animals. What is the real place for the wild animals? The forest. The forest is the natural abode, natural habitat of the wild animals. So, the poet forces us to think if the zoo is the right place for keeping wild animals. Certainly not. He must be given liberty. That's all. Thank you. But the homework, you have to write the central idea of the poem. First, you take the screenshot. Homework. Write central idea of the poem. This is HW. Once again, we should take notice of the rhyme scheme. I have already discussed that the same rhyme scheme is maintained from the very first stanza to the last stanza. Okay, see here, rhyme scheme. A, B, C, B. Night, first sound A. Cars, different sound B. Brilliant eyes, different sound C. And cars, stars, same sound. Cars B sound, stars B sound. A, B, C, B, A, B, C, B. Okay, I hope that you must have digested this poem and you will be able to write the center idea of the poem. Thank you very much.